Hello, and welcome to Aubrey Books and Coffee. Please grab your favorite beverage of choice and join me. So August was a long month, you guys, and I don't know about you, but I'm ready to put it behind me and move on to September. But before we do, of course, we need to review all the books that were actually read this month. And unlike the Bermuda of July, spoiler for that video if you haven't seen it yet, I did actually successfully read 20 books, so yay! So moving right along, the first book, of course, that I ended up putting on my TBR was Gallant by V.E. Schwab. Now, you all should know by now, I am not a huge V.E. Schwab fan. I don't know why, because everybody loves her. I just haven't been able to get behind her. That being said, I actually really enjoyed Gallant. I don't know if it's because the premise was something I hadn't heard of before. I don't know if it's because there's fun journal entries in there from her mother or what it was, but whatever it ends up being the reason, I gave it a 4-star. I did enjoy this one. It's the first one from her, and so now I have hope that maybe I'll like some of these others. The next book I had on my TBR was Northanger Abbey by Jane Austen. Now, this is my least favorite Jane Austen novel, but it is still a 5-star. I don't know why, but there's just, I guess because she's so young and naive, I just can't get behind the main character. I just don't like her as much as the others. Then on my TBR, I put Twin Crowns by Catherine Weber. I was doubting myself. This book is beautiful, absolutely beautiful. The stenciled edges, the cover, it's amazing. It's a fun story. It doesn't spoil anything to tell you it's about twins. And of course, the crowns in there and the title should tell you it's about royalty as well. It was really fun, a lot of love story in there, and it was interesting. It was a kind of take on the sisterhood that I hadn't read before. But there was just something about it. I just couldn't stick with the story. Like, I read the whole thing and I ended up giving it a 3-star, as you can see, but there was just something about it that didn't draw me in. So they left it kind of like they might come out with a sequel to this book. I'm probably not even going to pick it up. I'm happy leaving it where it ended and just letting that be it. But again, it wasn't bad writing and it was a beautiful book. It just didn't grab me, but not every book is for every person. So like I said with the V.E. Schwab, Whimsical Narratives, Kim loves that author. And not every book I say I really, really love, you guys are gonna like. So it's nice having a nice variety out there. So the next one I read was Beach Road by Emily Henry. This one I gave a 4-star. I'm a sucker for a good romance. I'm a sucker for a good beach read. If you've gotten a chance to look at my Read With Me over the summer video, that is set on an actual beach that we went to. That's the book that I'm reading there, actually. And so I got to finish it with you guys, which is kind of cool. But it was really good. I really enjoyed it. There were a lot of heavier we'll say plot points that were done with these characters that I didn't expect. I thought it would just be a usual sappy romance. So there is more substance to it than what you think it's going to have. And I think Emily Henry's a really good author. So I enjoyed it a lot. The next one was The Princess Diarist, which is written, of course, by Carrie Fisher. And I actually listened to the audio version of this, and it was hilarious because she got to do it in her own voice. And it was really cool to kind of see what she was talking about with her relationship with Harrison Ford, with what it was like to be a star to this weird science fiction movie called Star Wars, and her relationship with Mark Hamill, excuse me, or just things like that. It was just really interesting and fun. And if you've gotten a chance to read any of Carrie Fisher's books before, she's just got a very unique sense of humor and a voice that she uses to tell stories. So I highly recommend it. It's quick, it's fun, and I think you would enjoy it. The next one on my list I ended up picking up was The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood. And this one I gave a 3-star. Again, I know it's on Hulu, I believe, or HBO as a series. Have not gone through and watched the series yet. The book's a little disturbing. It's kind of scary to think that this kind of dystopian society could actually happen, especially with stuff that's been going on in the news lately. So anyway, it was an interesting read. Not something I had really thought of before, and it's kind of sad. So just prepare yourself if you pick this one up. Don't do it on a day when it's gloomy outside and you're feeling sad. The next one that I read was The Prince's Poisoned Vow by Hallie Turner. This one I gave a 2-star. It was a beautiful book. If you got to watch the unboxing, you saw that. And the picture here kind of shows that specific cover. Absolutely beautiful. So it's up for grabs whenever we do our drawing for 75 subscribers. But I don't know, you guys. To me, it felt a lot like the Game of Thrones series where they have a whole bunch of different characters. And it's hard to kind of keep, you know, trying to remember who is who and who's related to whom and what kingdom each one was for and what they were, you know, supporting and who they were fighting. It had all of that, so a whole lot of the throne game and politics mixed in with, there were times that it felt a little bit like my From Blood and Ash. I actually had to go back and look back to see, but sure enough, Jennifer Armentrout's series came out 2 years prior to this one. So she came out in 2020 and then his came out, or her, Hallie's came out in 2022. And I don't know if she was inspired by the series or what, but she goes so far as to mention revenants that they're having to fight, which is mentioned in this series. They have to fight these creatures that are half dead, half not, which zombies aren't a new concept. And then there's even a character in this book named Poppy. I am not making this up, you guys. I didn't know. I literally was staring at the page and I'm like, you are not mentioning all 3 things that are a premise of the main series here in your book. Like, that's just so weird. So yeah, it felt kind of like a mix between George R.R. Martin series and Jennifer Armentrout's, and kind of combining them together, but mixed with a whole lot of other subplots that were losing me, and so I ended up giving it a 2-star, but you may like it. Moving on. The next one I did was Midnight Sun by Stephanie Meyer. Of course, this is part of the Twilight series, and it was one I had actually never read, which is the viewpoint all of the first novel, but from Edward's viewpoint. And it was kind of interesting to see the behind the scenes, like the whole time that Bella's sitting there stressing about where he's at and what he's doing. We get the behind the scenes now to see what was going on, and then his frustration with not knowing what Bella's thinking or doing. So it was cute. I enjoyed it and gave it the 5-star. The next one that I read was The Girls of Paper and Fire. I gave it a 4-star. I really liked this book. I am surprised by how much I liked it. It has a beautiful cover. I had heard great things about it, and it had been sitting up on my TBR shelf for a long time. But I finally dove into it and they hooked me. The main character is so sweet, so likable, and you kind of grow with her, and her relationships are so sweet, and they're put through some really rough stuff and they manage to be stronger for it. So it's really good. I cannot wait to continue this series. The next one that I read was Don't You Forget About Me. This one I gave a 3-star. It was a solid read, nothing earth-shattering, a romance with a lot of fun humor tacked in there. And yeah, I just thought it was a solid read, nothing earth-shattering. Now I also, because that was only about 10 books right there, added in a Once Upon a Book Club June's box. The book was A Secret Princess. This one I gave a 3-star. You'll have a full review of that box and that book on the 4th of September. So stay tuned and make sure you click on that, because I do the reading and opening the gifts as I go through, and you'll get to see all of that. The next one I added was the Once Upon a Book Club's July book pick, which was The Charmed List. This I also gave a 3-star. And again, I did a full review that will be coming out on September 11th. So you'll have to click on that to see more details. Sorry, shameless plug. Then the next one that I added on was A Song of Wraths and Ruin. And this I gave a 3-star. I wanted to like this so much more than I did. It was a solid story. You really feel for the princess and what she goes through and the loss that she goes through and feels. And you're cheering for the guy, but kind of not wanting to, because I'm not going to spoil anything, but he's not what you think. And it was a really fun story, and I liked it, but I was wanting it so much to be this earth-shattering series, because I know there's at least a second, if not a third one out, and I just wanted to. But by the end, I was just like, I'm solid. Like, I'm not even gonna read the second one. I'm good with this. But it was a solid story, and I recommend picking it up sometime when you're just wanting to try something a little different. Then I read The City of Brass. This one I gave a 2-star. Don't be mad at me. There were so many bookish items that have come through here. And I'm sure even before I started ordering these book boxes, that was based off of this book. But you guys, don't get me wrong. I am all about stories that have to do with princesses and bloodlines and the djinn and magic. And I am all about those stories. I love those kinds of stories. The Stardust Thief is one of those stories. It didn't do it for me. It felt like I was really cheering for a certain couple. If you've read it, you know. And I was really happy with how it was going, but it felt like there was a lot of extra detail I just didn't want, I didn't think was necessary. Just when you think that it's going to wrap up, it felt like they were trying to drag the story on longer, and you know how I am, guys. I like it quick, short, and sweet. So for me, it was a 2-star. I'm sorry, but you guys might like it. The next one I did was Tower of Dawn by Sarah J. Maas. Of course, I gave this one a 5-star. You know, I love her Throne of Glass series so much. I still haven't finished it. I still have to finish the last one, but I love it. This one was my least favorite, so that was kind of a running theme, I think, this month. But it was my least favorite of the series because you don't get to have, you know, our favorites. You don't get to, you know, see our fae loves in there. It's all about, you know, others. I don't want to ruin anything. But it was okay. It was still a good story. You still get a love story in there. You still get the jump factor with, you know, what they're having to fight and, you know, coming in contact with and stuff. Again, I'm trying not to give anything away. It's so hard. But yeah, so it was a solid story, and I am going to keep it. I am going to reread it again at some point, I'm sure, but my least favorite of the Throne of Glass. Moving on, next on my list was Serpent and Dove. Now this I gave a solid 4-star. I don't plan on rereading it, so I didn't give it a 5-star just for that reason alone. It was really well written. I really enjoyed it. I love that it's that whole enemies to lovers trope. You know, that's my favorite. And I just really enjoyed the character development for both of the main characters. Usually it's one or the other. The guy goes through a lot of growth and the woman just waits patiently or not patiently. Or it's the woman goes through a lot of growth and the guy is this solid, wonderful figure. In this book, actually, it was both of them. And it was just beautiful to see them growing separately and then growing together. And I just really enjoyed it. I loved all the twists and turns that came in, things that happened that I'm going, and just never saw coming at the end. I did. I cannot wait to continue this series. I believe it's a trilogy. I can't wait to pick it up, and I highly, highly recommend it. Next, I read Red Queen. This I gave a 4-star. A good story, solid story. It's another one that's been on my shelf for a very long time, and I've been wanting to read through the series. I thought it was interesting. I love the character development. I love the powers. I love the twist of she's not a silver-blooded, you know, person, so she's not supposed to have these powers. She bleeds red, so what's going on? And yeah, a little intrigue, and I'm not going to ruin the ending, but I didn't see that coming either. So I am looking forward to continuing this series, and stay tuned for that, and I recommend it. Then I read All the Stars and Teeth. Now this I gave a 2-star, and oh my gosh, I was so disappointed. I mean, I read the cover, and the cover's beautiful, and it has a, pirate vessel on it, and it talks about a princess and pirates and mermaids and a curse, and what's not to love about all of that, right? But it was like, I would really start to get into it and like the characters. Then all of a sudden the character was being written very, very whiny and very weak. And then all of a sudden you start to like, another character that they have. And then you find out that you can't like him because of something that happens, and then it's like you're cheering for the mermaid, and then something happens where you better not be too attached. All kinds of crazy stuff that it really felt like they didn't give me a chance to fully invest in these characters and keep them around long enough, or keep them nice long enough, or something. It just ended up falling flat for me, to where at the end I'm just like, is it over yet? Can I listen to it at a 3.0 speed and get through it? So you may like it. It just wasn't for me. Then I read A Torch Against the Night. This is the second one in the series from An Ember in the Ashes, and I loved it. 4 stars. I just keep loving this series, and I know there's at least 3 more, I believe, in this, and so I look forward to continuing it. I was worried because the first one was so good that I wouldn't enjoy the second one, because normally that's when you have to get details to continue the story, it's that middle story. But instead, it was really cute getting to see the relationship of the two that try not to give anything away because I hate spoilers. The 2 that you are left with at the end of the first book, and what they have to go through. And that in the first book that she's trying to rescue her brother, and in the second book that continues. And so I really enjoy that they kept a lot of the first plot in the second one, but built on it to where you see this world just really unfolding. So well written. I am just super excited. Then the last one that I read on this month's TBR was Red Sparrow. This I gave a 3-star. I had watched the movie that has Jennifer Lawrence in it. She's beautiful. She does a fantastic job. And so I was just kind of intrigued and wanted to read the novel. That being said, I am not a huge Tom Clancy CIA kind of novel reading person, and so there was a lot of details, a lot about how the CIA works, a lot about how the KGB works, a lot about politics. So prepare yourself for that. And then, funny enough, at the end of every single chapter is a recipe. I don't know what's up with that, but it was very, very interesting to see all these recipes and everything in the book as well. So it was good, though. It was a good, fun story. I enjoyed it whenever the main characters were there, and what this poor girl goes through. Oh my gosh, from starting off as a ballerina and then going spy is just incredible, and she is so strong. And so I did really enjoy the story, and I recommend it. So next, of course, we had the roles for the writing prompts. And so first we had quotes on all of my chapters, which I did successfully do. Then we had the subject prompt, which when I rolled for that, it was an embarrassing situation. And so I did incorporate that in my story. Then I had writing 14,000 words. My beta readers, like I said, have book 2 in their hands, and so I was successful in doing that, and I've started book 3, so I'm just continuing to plug away, and I'm excited about that. And then my coffee break that I had to roll for was a climax scene, and so I did write that as well. So I ended up doing everything I needed to do. No punishments have to be given, and I look forward to seeing what goodies I get to read and write next month. Thank you guys for joining me. Like, subscribe, send your friends. We're so close to that drawing and all those goodies. And stay tuned, not only for the amazing 75 subscriber drawing, but at Christmas, there's gonna be a little something, something. If you watch previous videos, you know what I'm hinting at. I only give so many hints ever so often to draw you in. Take care, guys.